Baleful Strike. We all see those Froggen videos of Froggen having 600 plus 8 ability power 20, 25 minutes into the game. It gets ridiculous. And Vladimir Top, we all know, is one of the most annoying and constraining and constricting top lane picks. Very few counter picks. He can farm easily in lane. He can sustain himself well, and he can just be a nuisance.
This is true, but speaking of counter picks, it was picked first very blindly too, so those counter picks can probably come up, but we'll see what happens in these next two picks as the timer ticks down.
And keep in mind, all of the Juggernauts are available. Darius, Fiora,
Mordekaiser.
We saw glimmers of how deadly that Mordekaiser pick can be. Yes, he fell behind, and yes, he was easily kited. But if you can just get into that close range proximity with the Rylers, or if you can get your team to help you out, Mordekaiser does extreme amounts of damage.
So it looks like it's going to be the top lane Rengar being picked up for Team 1 right here. I find that very, very interesting, just because with the top lane Rengar against the Vlad, I feel like the Vlad can punish the Rengar early game unless Rengar tries to abuse the bush mechanic, but even then I still feel like it still comes out into the Vlad's favor, especially since he has the ability to pull that empowered bola snare.
Paul Yang is the substitute top laner for this week for Royal Luck. He has quite a few games in solo queue on this Rengar, so it's definitely something he's experienced with. Maybe he feels with the Ignite he can cheese level 2, the infamous level 2 Rengar cheese. He also plays a lot of Vladimir, so he definitely knows how that matchup goes. Asomaka Shladen, infamous top laner, part of the Laplace Transform squad. Also played in the intro season last split.
And we have Jackson Vane being locked in for Team 16, so...
On that, Jax, very interesting. Have not seen Jax in a long time, actually.
So my problems with Team 16's composition right now is that I feel like there are too many late game scaling champions on it, just because you have with Veigar, Vlad, Jackson, Vayne. Yes, you do have that very strong late game presence, but at that point it comes to a matter of, can you reach that late game?
Absolutely. And actually, this is going to be the Jungle Jax indeed. So I'm wondering if we're going to be seeing Warrior, Cinderhulk, or Devourer, because Jungle Jax, you can go either way, to be honest. But I completely agree with you. I think Osama Shradan needs to go Cinderhulk Jax, just because if you go for the Devourer route, you're not going to have any early game pressure whatsoever. Vayne, Vladimir, Viger, Devourer, Jax, that'd be way too much.
Yeah, if this was me drafting for Team 16, I would have preferred a more early to mid game scaling AD carry coming out of the bottom lane. I was thinking maybe Corki would have been pretty good, although you are stacking too much ability power with the Corki, so maybe a Sivir at that point.
Oh my god, they didn't ban the Soraka. This would be absolutely ideal. This would help Phoenix Wright scale in this vein by keeping him nice and healthy in lane, and would also... So the Soraka, the thing I like about Soraka is that assuming the Rengar doesn't jump on her, you can immediately silence the Rengar as soon as he jumps, and then he's basically worthless, right? Because he cannot activate any other of his abilities, and he's just standing there.
Right, this is true, but then it comes a matter of where's your primary form of engage for Team 16 right here. So you have the Soraka pick who's going to want to stay back and get out those consistent heals onto the weakened members on team, but then it's like your only form of engage for this team is to have Jax leap onto someone, and if he leaps onto someone, they have a lot of tools in Team 1's kit to protect that person, from the Orianna shields, the Tristana disengage with her ultimate, Sedge or Knowledge just CC locking him. So I feel that we have a problem for Team 16 in the sense that you have no primary engage and you're having too much late game on a composition that has no way to reach that late game.
So the way I see it is this: Purple Team is not going to be looking to fight at all for maybe the first 15, 20 minutes of the game, just because I think that the low base damage from all their abilities won't shine at all in those early skirmishes. That being said, the blue team, they can also scale very hard. They have the Orianna, they have a Rengar, Tristana. Both of these teams, if it gets to late game, it's not a clear, there's no clear winner late game scaling. These are both, it's like a nuclear arms race. Who's gonna win first? The Viger, Froggen hitting ultimates for 1,500 damage? Or the Rengar who's just gonna jump on one of your carries and one-shot them? Or the Orianna who's gonna shockwave your entire team and kill all of you? So it's definitely a nuclear arms race in that regard. But the Wombo combo presence from the blue side from Team Royal Luck is definitely there. You have the Glacial Prison as well as the Shockwave, and then anyone left over straggling who managed to survive is just going to get picked off by the new Kitty Cat top lane.
But let it be known that also there is a double TP being run by the Veigar and the Vlad, which does give that early game pressure, I guess, if you want to look to helping out on lane. But also let it be known that Rengar does have that ignite, so he is looking to snowball and be a strong split pushing presence. But against a composition that is running double teleport, where do you look to even begin to do that split push? Because yes, you will be able to do the 1v1, but what if there's more than one person? At that point, you have no way to get away as Rengar unless you do pop that ultimate, but you kind of want to use that ultimate in order to go look for the ambush on someone.
So ideally, what I would like to see is Osama Kushladen applying pressure to this top lane, getting his Vladimir ahead. Because if his Vladimir can get ahead of the Rengar, not only does that limit the split push threat, but you also have a teleport advantage, right? In fact, you have double teleport advantage. That's something that we haven't even discussed yet. This composition from Rainbow Hamsters has a lot of global pressure. Don't forget, you also have the Soraka ultimate. If you get into a 2v2 fight in the top lane, Osama Kushladen on this Jax and Vladimir against the Sejuani Rengar, after Soraka hits level 6, the Rainbow Hamster squad, the duo, is always going to win because they have that extra heal. They have that extra sustain to survive the burst. Because that's really what Royal Luck is looking for. They're looking for a CC burst down onto a few targets and then reset. Whereas Purple Team's consistent damage is ridiculous. Vayne, Jax, Vladimir, Baron Nashor, that's going to get destroyed in a matter of maybe 10 seconds.
Yes, while the damage is there, we're going to have to see if everything else in that composition is there to help them win. So this game will start in the next 55 seconds as we wait until the timer ticks down.
I'm excited for this game. These are also a pair of teams that are very highly seeded and very highly regarded among intro players. Vijay, captain in the last season, captain in this season, very well known for his 80 solid 80 carry mechanics. Alpha Ellie, also a very potent and competent mid laner as well on that Orianna. We're going to see how he can play the control mage. I'm interested to track sometimes Swain. Obviously, his name gives it away that he's a Swain main, which is why it's always interesting to see how he fares on other picks. This is actually the first time I'm seeing him on this new Veigar, so I'm interested to see how he controls the lane, how he can keep his stacks up, and who knows, he might even become the new Froggen.
So now, when it comes to that, what I want to figure out is, so as an AD carry, you may not find it interesting that the only AD carries that we've seen get picked so far have been Jinx, Tristana, and the Vayne. All three of these are late game hyper carries, so we have AD carry players that want to look to just control the game in terms of late game damage output. Now, what I'm trying to figure out though is, will we start seeing some early to mid game AD carries come out in the future? Because Corki is still open. He is still very, very good. Yes, you do get outscaled in the later stages of the game, but if you can create that pressure, because once Corki gets to Trinity Force, he is essentially one of the strongest champions on the map at a one item power spike. So when you had that Trinity Force, you should look to group up with your team and look to siege outer towers with the Sheen procs and be able to take early game dragons. As a result of that, I hope you snowball your advantages to get a run over these opponents that are using AD carries at scale into the later stages of the game.
Absolutely. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who may just be joining us, this is Intro Fall 2015 season. This is the first week and the last game of today. This is going to be on the blue side, Team 1, Royal Luck. It is on the top lane, the substitute, Paul Yang. In the jungle is going to be Nande. In the mid lane is Alpha Ellie, 80 carry Regis Sai, and on support, a little favor. And on the purple team, we have Team 16, also known as Rainbow Hamsters. In the top lane is going to be Aelu on that Vladimir. In the jungle is going to be Osama Kushladen. Sometimes Swain, the captain in the mid lane. Phoenix Fright on 80 carry, and the support substitute for this game, Zapadina. So, we touched on a lot of scaling in this game. Definitely, I give the early game advantages to Royal Luck, but that, we've seen a bunch of teams have a lot of early game advantages and throw them away. Remember what happened last game?
Better question is, will we see another level 1 fire, some type of skirmish happening? Both teams are pulling out the pings. It seems they will meet at the same place. So Vanguard face checking into the MECC as he puts down the chain and flashes away with the explosive shot on him. But the flashes and the ignite comes out on him. Will he live? And that is a first blood that goes over to Rengar.
Unbelievable. The face check value.
This is one thing that teams should realize. You can't be neglectful when it comes to the level 1. You had to make sure you put down those early game trinkets, get the vision down, see what the enemy's plan is at level 1. Are they trying to just go for the invade, see if they could get an early kill just to help with the snowball? You have to be careful about these things. You can't be wandering around aimlessly thinking that, hey, your team is just going to be at their buffs, just waiting for everyone to get the game started. No, some teams go for these aggressive plays to see if they can get a significant advantage in the early game.
Absolutely. And good mechanical play there from Paul Yang, knowing the reach of his Rengar. If he would have flashed into the brush, he would be able to reach for the ignite on the Veigar. We're going to see how he can snowball his lane now. He gets the extra longsword. He does not have ignite, so the potential level 2 cheese is not all-in cheese is not there, but he can definitely still take control of this lane.
You know, another thing notice that the Veigar does have the flash, so he is even weaker in the early stages of the game, especially with that teleport. So we're going to see how that's going to affect him in terms of the lane against Orianna, who in this matchup can play like a lane bully.
Definitely interested in seeing how this is going to play out right now. We have standard lanes, jungle starts, all standard, so going to be seeing on how these junglers take their routes, where they meet up, where they gank, where they apply their pressure.
So now, in terms of the matchup in the bottom lane, we have Tristana, Nautilus versus Vayne, Soraka. So now, the thing about this lane, like every Soraka lane, is if you're trying to go for 2v2 trades, you have to focus down the Soraka. If you go for the Vayne, yes, you will win the trade early on, but then it'll come to a point where the Soraka just keeps healing the Vayne, and then you start losing out in the long-lasting fight just because the sustain is just so great from the Soraka. We're talking at rank 5, Q gets max first, so once the W gets max second, it's going to be a 2-second heal on the Soraka, which is really disgusting in my opinion.
Incredibly so. If you're on the side of Team Royal Luck right here, you're looking to land that anchor toss onto the Soraka, try to get the explosive charge damage onto her. But we actually see a really early roam coming in from a little favor. We're going to see if they can make this gank pull off.
There is a flash knockback, but the Sedge taking too much damage as that is a kill going over to the Veigar.
That had to have been a miscommunication of some sort. That was definitely a misplay. And Elo going down to the cheese of Paul Yang. That is that dangerous Rengar damage. You do not underestimate that.
So now, let's talk about what happened on the mid lane. So you have the Nautilus and the Sedge looking to get a potential roam going on, but Sejuani should have realized, and that is another kill going over the Rengar with double buffs. So that is going to be quite the scary threat.
This Rengar is going to be so big, and just mechanical misplays left and right coming in from both teams, actually, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, so as I was talking about the mid lane, when you have a level 2 Sejuani, so now if you're Sedge, when you're going for your jungle clear, you start W because that's what helps you clear. After taking W, this Sedge went for the Q, so yes, you do get the knock up if it lands, but you don't have any slows to stop them from just straight up just walking away from you. While a knock up does kind of hurt them, in a sense, a slow is really what makes it have that long-lasting pressure, along with being too close to his tower, and the fact that Veigar, you know that Veigar started cage level 1 off of the invade, so you have to respect that cage, and as you saw, Sedge was trying her best to not get stunned, but in not trying to get stunned, you're still in the way of still dying.
Good damage. This is exactly what I was talking about. Just get the damage onto the Soraka, make her back away. Heal.
And that is a heal. Sejuani trying to fight the Jax level 1, but this does seem to be Gray's idea, even though she does have the red buff as the Rengar trying to come through to help. The snare misses, but another snare comes out for the slow as he hops over to the Vlad, but Rengar is just going to kill the Wars as to proceed to clear closer as the bottom lane tussle happening. It's just a little love taps here and there.
And Sean, something I forgot to point out, that is a 4.5-minute Hex Drinker on this Rengar.
Oh, you are right, that is the Hex Drinker.
That is going to be so immense into this game. I'm surprised he actually is not opting for the, I believe it's an early Tiamat that most of them go for. Is the build? I have not seen Top Ringer in a while, but I'd imagine the build now is still.
Yeah, still the Rav Hydra Rush into a Ghost Blade.
Okay. Would you go Last Whisper or Black Clover?
I think it'll probably just depend in terms of how much armor is on the enemy team.
Where's the anchor toss?
Was that the jump, and that is a kill as she jumps away to safety. Will it be easy? Another kill on the Vayne. Vayne has no summer heal, but she does pop the flash. With the auto attack coming out, and will that be enough? Yes, it is, and that is 2 kills going over to the Tristana and 1 kill going over to the Vayne. Now, let's talk about what you're mentioning here in terms of the builds for Rengar. So now, we have the Radness Hydra into the Yomu's Ghostblade. Now, in terms of if you go for the Last Whisper or the Black Cleaver, personally, depending on how much armor the enemy team has, if the enemy team has a lot of tanks, by all means, go for the Last Whisper, but if they have no tanks, you're better off going for that Black Cleaver because Black Cleaver as the item is better against targets that have less armor. Like if you have like 2+ armor mods, you want to go for a Last Whisper just so you can have the straight up arm penetration right there, but it's okay if you stack up to it with the Black Cleaver against squishier targets.
Definitely. I would probably then expect Black Cleaver just because of the lineup from Team Rainbow Hamsters, but Rainbow Hamsters, you know, we got to put ourselves in their shoes, right? 2 of the biggest damage threats right now in the game, Rengar and Tristana, fed. 2-1-1, 37 CS, BF Sword already on this Tristana. 3-0-0, 41 CS, Hex Drinker, Rengar. You know, you have to be thinking if you're Team Rainbow Hamsters, okay, we just have to survive, get to the late game, and we can win. But
you know, as I mentioned from before, it's a matter of how do you get to the late game against such a composition, especially since you're already falling behind in the early game.
And even with a late game comp, it's not like this Rengar and this Tristana.
The smite still happens, but the Rengar pops to throw the hunt as they're wondering where is the Rengar, but the Rengar decides to reveal himself just to get the empowered bullet snare. As he tries to get away, will he potentially go down as all the attacks keep going and he goes away to safety?
He had the Hex Drinker block, he was fine, but I think that was a big misplay. I think he had an opportunity to kill the Vladimir there. Vladimir did not have pull. He definitely had enough burst to take him down.
Now see, there's one thing I always mention to people when it comes to ganking Rengar is that if you have a plan in your head to gank your Rengar, at level 6, you have to bring that pink ward just to be able to see him to get the gank going across. Otherwise, you're just going to pop the throw the hunt and just get away and just probably spam laugh at you as he's invisible.
Alpha Ellie with the early roam, though, has a needlessly first item on that Orianna. Going to be rushing. Actually, that's a very interesting buy. Needlessly first item on Orianna. Would that
this is a really good early dragon for the blue team. So this is a dragon that's being taken at roughly 8 minutes, but we'll say 8.5 just off of how long it's being taken. So the dragon being taken at 8.5. 5th dragon will spawn within, so that is 4 times 6. So that is 24 minutes. That means 5th dragon appears at 32 minutes if blue team gets every other dragon thereafter. So blue team is already securing their late game against a late game stunning composition with this early game dragon. That is going to be very good for them. So now it seems like this is a potential collapse right here on the Jax. Sedge is level 5, but Orianna is level 7, but the 2-man stun comes out as the burst goes on Orianna. 2-man shockwave into the distance, gets the damage off as bot lane comes to collapse on it, and that has free kills for the blue team.
That is so unfortunate. Sapadina here on the Soraka, still level 5. Unfortunately, doesn't even have that ultimate. And bot lane, the bot lane for Rainbow Hamsters need to be really careful. They can easily get dived on from this positioning.
So now, as I mentioned from before, when you have a composition that is very dependent on reaching late game status, you can't be looking to do any type of skirmishes just because you're just so much weaker than them earlier. Like, look at this. You have a Sejuani with a ruby crystal to a Jax with a dagger. The Ebola comes out, and that is a snare onto Soraka with the depth charge coming in, the explosion shot securing the kill.
Very late exhaust coming out there from Zapatina, but even if he had landed it earlier, it would not have mattered at all. Team Royal Luck here applying pressure as needed, going to be taking this first turret. Explosive charge damage does draw aggro.
It looks like they might potentially get Jax for a kill as well, but he just stuns, but the lands onto the Vayne with the slow. Vayne pops the final hour, trying to make use of the invisibility and the kiting back. She is able to live, but it seems that blue team can't take anything else and just takes the tower. With the snare landing onto the Orianna, but it's just not any damage from this Veigar. All he has is a Codex and the Chalice. That's barely any type of damage in the earlier stages of the game.
10 minutes into the game, only 42 bonus ability power. Definitely not Froggen levels, but definitely not awful either. We're going to have to keep track of that. Until then, he's just going to be losing these trades with this Oriana. Oriana can just shield away the damage. And just going back to this top lane matchup, my lord, 85 CS to 50, 35 CS advantage already on this Rengar. It's looking to only get worse. Rengar now coming in with a roam to mid lane, he could easily pop his ultimate and just get an immediate kill onto this Viger. In fact, I'm fairly confident he can just one-shot this Viger.
The worst part is that the Jax isn't even level 6. Yeah, that is very disheartening.
Incredibly so. Ooh, was there a ward that he got caught on?
Oh, this was like the one-shot opportunity with the Empower Bullet as they dive onto the Veigar, and will they lose anyone? Nope. They will lose no one, and that is an easy kill for the blue team.
Under turret, doesn't matter. Paul Yang just not giving any kind of care in the world.
So now when it comes to the Veigar pick, we have people that have been hyping up this champion, especially when Incarnation picked it in Worlds a couple of days ago. So now, thing about Veigar, he does have his pros. There are those glaring weaknesses. One of them being that immobility. If someone gets onto you, what do? You pull out the stun, and then what if they didn't get stunned? Then you're probably gonna die.
Yeah, it just requires such. Oh, nice anchor toss. Hold on this thought. This Soraka is going to be going down. The explosive charge is going to be doing loads of damage here. Goodbye. Although, Phoenix Wright, can he make the play? No, the heal comes in and the exhaust. Ninja Side gets another double kill. 6-1 and 2. 85 CS at 12 minutes. Doing so good so far in this Tristana. And a little favor, man, making these anchors count. Landing multiple maximum range anchors. Just absolutely spectacular play on him so far in support Nautilus.
But yeah, the scoreboard is 11-2 with Red Team having that 6K gold deficit at the 12-minute mark. As a late game skill and team comps, it comes to a point of how do you even make it back into the game, especially when Vlad has a chance of getting potentially die 3v1 under his tower, but Jax is there, but it potentially they could still get got 3v2 when take into account all the burst damage that can produce.
I think even 3v2 they could still win the dive as long as Nande secures a good enough.
This isn't warded. It looks like okay, now it's warded.
Both teams posturing the top lane. Easy team fight victory for Royal Luck here if they land the ultimates properly. If Paul Yang can get in for a cleanup on this top Rengar. 4-0-0 got the TM out second. Most likely going to be a Raven Hydra. And we do see the bot lane slowly pushing in there for Team Rainbow Hamsters. Phoenix Wright with the pink ward.
Tristana looking to do the 1v1 against the Vayne, gets condemned away, and that's the end of that fight with Rengar potentially trying to kill Vlad, but that's also another failed attempt as well. But it seems that Jax is in the way along with Soraka. If Rengar tries to attempt to dive, Vlad has the heals from the Soraka to survive.
Oh, and here comes
and he goes for the burst damage onto Soraka, who pops the wish as Rengar pops the throw the hunt so that he can escape. And as I mentioned before, no pink wards. You can't see the Rengar. He's just gonna get away.
I would have laughed at the Rengar here. He re-jumped onto the Soraka underneath her turret and killed her. So definitely, Team Rainbow Hamsters on the purple side here. Really being caught in a tough spot here. Unable to pressure towers, unable to pressure dragon control, and just trying to survive, trying to gather as much CS as possible, trying to get those late game items that they so desperately need right now.
So if you look at that dragon taken right here, so we have the 5th dragon on the eve at the 32-minute mark. So as Red Team, you're so behind you can't even contest the dragons. Even if you do reach your late game power spike at the 32-minute mark, if Blue Team gets the 5th dragon, it's just going to be nothing when they have that 5th dragon true damage popping through.
Exactly. So, just a very sour situation in regards to how this game is going to play out for the remainder of the time here. Credit to Elu, right? In a really, really poor lane, still managing to keep the CS up. In the fight here, though, Paul Yang just putting down the pressure. He has the ignite.
Pops the flash.
I think Paul Yang could have ignited and flashed after him and gotten that kill, but decided to be conservative.
But they didn't want to be too greedy. It's fine. He's still very much ahead. He's probably gonna get the top lane tower for this as well.
Something that many players forget though is the Hexdrinker, the active. That's why I was saying he would have been completely fine. Is because even
oh yeah, sure, most definitely.
So I think he could have gone for that kill, but still gets the top tower, still gets the increased CS advantage. So doing absolute work on this Rengar ever since the first blood. Phoenix right here almost has his Bork finished. Meanwhile, Regicide, Infinity Edge boots, looking towards most likely a Shiv. Could also be, could have in mind a Phantom Dancer second, just because he's so far ahead.
Oh, I just noticed the Orianna amortization. Normally you would see the Oriannas go for the Athenes just for the massive scene, but when you get so many blue buffs as her, she was just like, I'm gonna go get the death cap for this immediate damage spike, because it is okay to do death cap into Athenes if you feel that you don't need a massive scene. It's more preferred to do the Athenes into the death cap. And this is the potential dive onto the red team under their tier 2 tower with the empowered Bola snare, and Jax gets eliminated as the potential next target is the Black, who does get slowed and snared before his pool comes out. He goes down as well. Will this be another dive onto the rest of the 3 red team members with the flash empowered?
Oh, the
not even the Bola.
Shockwave misses though. What a play. Talk about the dunk squad. The communication between Regicide and Paul Yang. Absolutely stellar. Jumping across the map, getting these kills, getting these resets.
That is true.
Putting in so much work.
Even though they weren't able to follow up completely after the Sedge ulti, it was still a good amount of pressure that was put onto them as they were able to take the tier 2 towers. So as red team, like I said, you have Veigar, Vlad, Jax, and Vayne. All late game scaling members. The only one with potentially good wave clear on your team is Veigar. If he doesn't have enough AP to clear that whole wave. If he doesn't have enough AP to clear that whole wave, you're expecting to lose all your towers to the siege from Orianna and Tristana.
Completely true. And looking at the gold here, almost a 10,000 gold lead at 18 minutes into the game. If you're a Rainbow Hamsters right now, what are you thinking? How can you possibly overcome a deficit this large? Because at this point, I am confidently going to say that this is Team Royal Luck's game to lose. They would have to outplay themselves in order for them to not win this game. What type of an opportunity could Team Rainbow Hamsters possibly have? They would have to get pick after pick after pick. And a little favor on this Nautilus is doing a great job in pushing for their ward control, keeping Regicide safe, making sure that the flanks are covered. There's no way.
But yeah, it seems we have a little calm before the storm on the Rift, actually. It's not been a bit of a bloodbath in the most recent minute or so as the blue team attempts to siege for the bottom tower. Now Vayne is here alone. She will get died if she remains. And hook does land. She will go down.
Godlike for Regicide. Good play on him. Osama Kushlada jumping over. Not where he wants to be.
And he has first the flash. I understand the flasher just because the Sedge was there and she could potentially have thrown the Bola for the snare.
That's true. But if you're going to flash, you have to make sure. This is a mechanical error that I see a lot of players make.
Oh, the Bola lands for the 2-man stun with Veigar not able to do enough damage as Regicide is able to pick up the kill with the electricity. And then not even the end of the fight as the rest of the fight is raging onwards, where we have the cage doesn't even do anything as the rest of the red team falls down to a Tristana damage with Vayne trying to be the hero. Can she do this? The Cannon doesn't land the stun with Tristana trying to finish her off in the 1v1, and it looks like it'll be a 3 for 4.
19 minutes tower diving. Inhibitor turrets. That's how far ahead Royal Luck is here. We've got the young LeBron and Dwayne Wade combo of Regicide and Paul Yang just dunking on these poor late game carries of Team Rainbow Hamsters. There was just nothing they could do. There was too much upfront burst. They get annihilated. And there's just nothing this team, even on the tower dive, that was a 4-man Event Horizon from Sometimes Swain. A great stun, stopped the initiation in its tracks, and yet they still all got wiped out underneath their turret. And Regicide just in the right place at the right time, timing his jumps, timing his ultimate, timing his
So
auto.
this is the third dragon that is live. And as I said before, red team cannot contest this. They're too far behind. If you try to contest it, you all will die at this stage of the game.
Is there a way they can come back? What do you think?
In my humble opinion, in a situation like this, there is literally zero way to make a comeback unless you can potentially sneak in a Baron just because of the damage output from your team. But you can't sneak in the Baron just because there's too much vision from the blue side over here, and also you're too far behind to even attempt it because they'll know what's coming just off of the map movement. And as I said from before, when you're a late game scaling comp and you fall behind in early to mid game, there's nothing much you can do just because the enemy team is just so much stronger than you. There's literally nothing you can do. When the draft happened, red team basically pigeonholed themselves into this situation of falling behind in the early game with champions that all scale into the later stages of the game.
Definitely. Oh, will we see a Shockwave?
But we will see the Wish.
Preemptive thinking from Zappadina. No Shockwave. I honestly think the Shockwave may have just about been able to kill her.
Probably, and this is a Baron being attempted by the blue team. They're so ahead, they can already do it. Red team not even responding to it. I don't even see any pings on it. It's not even war, and this is going to be the easy Baron for the blue team.
Great pickup there.
And Sedge flashing over the wall. Will this be the stun? Yes, it will be, as the damage comes through from the Tristana as blue team looks to finish off what they have started. So we have the snare.
Oh, good event horizon.
Also, the Equinox actually silenced them too. I'm surprised. Like, silence and the snare too.
Ah, yeah, that's correct. Well, Baron to Team Royal Luck. We're going to see how they can perform with the buff. I would think this. I mean, you don't even have to do anything fancy. You don't have to split push. I mean, you could just group as 5 and just tower dive over and over and over at this point. You're that far ahead. You can do whatever it is you feel like. Regicide completed his Phantom Dancer, completed the Infinity Edge, working on the last whisper. He's going to be doing so much damage. Ravenous Hydra on this Rengar Paul Yang doing so much work as well.
Oh, the Tristana jumps forward in attempt to try to secure it, but a 3-man shockwave comes through as the blue team is trying their best to win this fight. It looks like they will as red team with the death charge onto the Vayne, and she gets destroyed by the Orianna damage. Veigar isn't able to do anything, and he gets destroyed by the Orianna, and Rengar was just chilling, split pushing, as his team was able to win the 4v5 team fight.
And Team Rainbow Hamsters putting everything onto Regicide, still unable to kill him, loses both their inhibitors. And Team Royal Luck are just going to back away and earn their spoils of war. Great play all around from all of them. Good communication, working together to push those objectives and win those early game skirmishes and now these tower dive fights.
Speaking of pushing objectives, all it takes for blue team now is to group as all 5 and siege down the mid and hopefully take the Nexus towers as well, because you still have the Baron buffs and Tristana's already got one step ahead of me as she's trying to kill it. Can't quite do it just because there's too many people on the red team. So once the team regroups with her, they'll be able to take down that last inhibitor and potentially force an end to this game.
24 minutes in, a 17,000 gold lead going over to the side of Team Royal Luck. Let's see how they decide to close this game out. No neutral objectives are available, so it would just be the best case would just be to siege mid. Control of the vision around the side lanes and just siege down mid, because 2 waves of inhibitor turrets, excuse me, of inhibitor minions pushing is a lot for 24 minutes into a game. And Regicide still with that Baron buff for another 15 or so seconds should be enough to be able to take down this turret. We're going to see how they play this out. Turret goes down, Regicide pushing forward, getting the damage onto the inhibitor turret. Look at the damage.
The Throw of the Hunt does get popped. Will he continue to push for it? The bullet comes out for a 3-man stun, and Vayne pops the final hour, trying to solo the Tristana, but she gets ulted away, and Tristana jumps away. His Summer Heal gets popped. Null's barely living with his HP as Vayne tumbles backwards, and the fight just barely The stun goes out onto Orion. Will the fight continue? No, it doesn't. As red team tries to defend their base from the blue team siege.
30 health left on that Nautilus. He manages to survive long enough. And
Oriana avoids getting stunned as she has to weigh out the cage duration. And it looks like this will be the siege onto red team's Nexus towers. Will red team be able to defend their Nexus? Come on, will they be able to do it? They have to potentially fight for it right now. The Nexus is exposed. What will happen now? We have Tristana all the way in the Nexus. It's now or never for the red team as Jax jumps in for the stun. They have no ults down for the blue team as the Vlad passes ulti for the Tristana, who gets stunned and gets destroyed by the Vayne. Red team, it looks like it was able to successfully defend their base, but they lost their Nexus towers. Will they be able to keep defending against the next siege from the blue team as the dragon spawns at 44?
Absolute just so much pain being brought down onto the side of Rainbow Hamsters. They got outclassed in the beginning, out-comped. They should have known early on that picking a late game scaling comp such as this would come to bite them in the first 10-15 minutes of the game, and just Team Royal Luck, they got the early skirmishes. They knew just fight early and we can win the fight. But here come the super minions. This is going to be the true test of mechanical skill. Will they be able to defend the Nexus? Phoenix Wright is taken out by the super minions, and the struggle continues. Dragon 4 over to Team Royal Luck. Can they do this? The real minigame begins, ladies and gentlemen. We are now into the game between Team Rainbow Hamsters and Team Super Minions.
I find it funny that the Vayne died just because she does have the range auto attack. Oh man, that was great. But yeah, I don't think red team will be able to defend against the siege. It is like 3 waves with literally 2 super minions in each wave. They are trying their best. They do have the pink board for the Rengar throw the hunt, but it just won't be enough. At this point, you can just walk up to a Nexus tower. Don't even have to aggro. And this is the win for the blue team. This is GG red team.
Very well played to Team Royal Luck. Well-deserved win. And, I mean, well, what else can we say, right? That was just a stomp. Purple side, Team Rainbow Hamsters, they went into this game with an idea in mind. Let's scale to the late game and let's win the team fights there. Team Royal Luck, noticing that, picks these comfort picks that do bode well in early skirmishes. You have the early Rengar damage, you have the Oriana, utility support, and you have the Sejuani with the CC lockdown. Some minor misplays from them, but overall, very well played, very crisp.
If there's something that red teams should look to do in the future, is that they should look to communicate better in terms of what they want their team composition to be, because when you look at it, these are all late game champions that don't really have much synergy with each other. Like you have Vayne, Veigar, Vlad. Where's the peel and disengage for them? Who's going to peel for them? Jax? Soraka? Soraka isn't one that peels. She's one that keeps someone alive in situations they shouldn't be alive in. So when you have to think of that, you have to consider, listen, what do we want as our late game damage dealers? Do we just want Vayne and Veigar? Do we just want Vlad and Veigar? Yes? Okay, we have our late game damage dealers. Now, where's our early to mid game? You could pick up maybe Lee Sin jungle. That's early to mid game right there. You could pick up the Corki to have that early game power spike with the Trinity Force. And when it comes to like peeling, bring a Janna. And your composition is all set to have some decent team fighting potential in the later stages of the game. So it was very unfortunate that they weren't able to round up a team composition that can last in the earlier stages.
Absolutely. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will be concluding our stream for the day. We thank you all very much for your participation, and we hope that you enjoyed the games just as much as we did. We saw a couple of very quick snowball stomps. We also saw a very close match that could have gone either way. That one was also very exciting. We got to see some more niche picks, some more juggernauts. Hopefully in the future, get to see a little bit more variety in the AD carry role. I know, Sean, you're looking for that. Am I right?
I'm hoping for some more Corki, my friend. I'm very, very strong lover of Corki.
We're going to be hoping to see if we can get some